I've been a little bit busy since the last episode of City Skylines. The last episode, by the way, is where we started building this, our liberal arts university, which exists solely to deal with the fact that there was quite a bit of demand, or quite a few people that were eligible for university, but that couldn't go to university because we didn't have the space. But the good news is that more than a few dormitories later, we do now have the space, and I've been a little bit busy. I decided to play around with this university just a little bit, and I'm kind of pleased with the result. Now, obviously, this isn't finished. There's still a lot of empty space, but you can maybe see that there's some changes between where it is now and where it was at the end of that last episode. I managed to go ahead and get the School of Environmental Studies, and I thought it would look really good up here, so that's where it is. I thought some parking around it was a good idea, another cafeteria, maybe another drama club, and then we have the liberal arts library as well. I think we actually might have two of these. I know we have at least this one, and I just thought this was a nice little self-contained space. Coming up here, we have another groundskeeping building, another drama club, and an art club up here. I like this. I think it's just out of the way. It looks cozy. It's a bunch of small buildings, and yes, there is a wind turbine. There's a few of these around the place because I think it just looks better than bringing a bunch of power lines up here. And then moving over this way just a little bit, we have a commencement office. This is a piece of art itself. It provides a great venue for celebrating graduations. I figured this would be a pretty good view for a commencement office, despite the fact that there is another wind turbine. It's also surrounded in some academic statues. It has another fountain down here and quite a few more dormitories, which I thought was kind of important. I wanted to make sure we could have a lot of people going here. Now, we did build this School of Education in the last episode, but across from it now, we have a few different things. We have a public library, which isn't actually a university building, but I thought it looked kind of nice in here. We've got a liberal arts auditorium. We have a multi-story parking lot and some smaller parking lots here. We also have a laboratory and a bookstore as well. We actually have a couple of these. There's more of them just over this way, another lab and another bookstore right there, with another public library and another parking lot right next to it. And then the centerpiece to this whole thing is this little sort of lake pond thing that we have right in the middle of what's now called the Vanillaville College of the Arts. I was looking at this space. I put some roads through here. I put some paths through here. But I was looking at this space and I was thinking, what do I want to do with it? We're not going to have enough buildings. And I just thought, you know what? We've done this already. Why not do a pond? It originally started as just these two sections. I expanded it into here. And then I thought, you know what? We'll connect it to the river and it'll be a beautiful way to sort of separate this whole thing. Get some nice color contrast in here with the blue of the water. We've got all of this sort of nature coming around it as well. We get some color with the beautiful pink trees. And then I decided to use, I think this is the Nature Reserve Bridge. And I use this because I've been to a university campus in Northampton, which I'm pretty sure has a bridge kind of like this. It's not exactly the same. It goes up a bit higher, but it does cross over some water, as bridges sometimes do. And I'm pretty sure the deck of it is like this. It's a bunch of wood on the deck of the bridge. It doesn't have the plants hanging down, but I love this look. I love that we have these regular old concrete paths going straight into this wooden bridge. I love that as a theme going around here for all of these bridges. I just really, really like how it turned out. And I like it down here as well. A little bit of a longer one, but honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out so far. And not to mention, it is now a 4-star university. We have 1,800 students going here. We have campus attractiveness of 2,040. We have 11 of 16 academic works. And we do, of course, have grant in to get a few more of them. So hopefully, at some point today, we might see this thing level up a little bit because we do still have some things to unlock. We have the media lab, we have the dance club, we have the academic statue number 2, and do we get those at prestigious? We do. We also have the School of Economics. Now, if that thing is as big as I'm hoping it's going to be, I want to put it in this space. I think it would look pretty good in there. We can maybe play around with the media club sort of in this space or this space. We have some room to play with. And then whatever space we don't use is going to be dedicated to more parks, plazas, and all of that good stuff. The only issue that I see with all of that is that it seems like we're about to have another death wave. And you might be thinking to yourself, hold on a minute, actually something's burnt down in here. You might not be thinking that. I'm thinking that. We'll rebuild that plaza. You might be thinking to yourself, we just had one. Well, it's been a few hours. I didn't stop playing City Skylines when I got done with the last episode. So I'm recording this before the last episode's even gone out. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in one of those moods and I don't, I'm going to be shady. I don't really get into these kind of moods with City Skylines 2, man. I play that for like 3 hours and I'm like, I've done nothing, but I guess it's an episode. With this, I'm like, man, I'm so pleased with how this has turned out. I'm having so much fun building all of this. I could build this in City Skylines 2 as well. We've got the mods more or less. Is that on fire? Huh. Yeah, we have the mods more or less to build something like this, but I don't know. There's something about City Skylines 1. I guess we don't necessarily. We don't have Move It in City Skylines 2 just yet. We do have, well, we have Anarchy and we can just turn off snapping, I suppose. So it's kind of a similar concept. But anyway, I'm not going to sit and bash City Skylines 2. We've already discussed City Skylines 2 at length at this point. So let's talk about what I want to do today. Now, interestingly, I am somewhat convinced that this is just a traditional City Skylines death wave because we have got plenty of healthcare capacity, 4,165. We have 322 sick citizens. Death care is a relatively similar story. Our cemeteries are less than 50% full because we just emptied one and we're emptying 2 more. Our crematorium capacity is 2,400. We have just over 1,000 deceased. So I suppose what we could do is just dot a few more crematoriums around here. I don't love the idea of doing this, I'm not gonna lie, but I think we dot a few more of these around here. I've also got collisions turned off. We want those to be on. I think we dot a few more of these around here and we just sort of go a little bit overboard by trying to make sure that there is just a ridiculous number of hearses available for when anybody dies. That's sort of the goal here. I want to try and counter, well, not counter, because I don't think you really can counter death waves in City Skylines, but I'm going to do my best to just make sure that we have the availability. We don't actually have any death care coverage in this space here, so we'll go in with something like the Cryo Preservatory. Since it's a bit of a different looking building, we can maybe throw it on one of these corners around here. Maybe this one. Although that's right on an avenue. I don't know that I love that. I think we'll go for right there for the Cryo Preservatory. And that'll give us a little bit of death care in that space as well, which is starting to see a little bit of death creep in. We're kind of seeing it across the entire city. It's a bit of a creeping death going on here. Metallica fans rejoicing at those particular words. Really good song, actually. Creeping Death's really fun to play on guitar. A bit of a monster to try and sing, but it's a really fun song. Anyway, enough about my music taste. I want to start building a new district in this weird little space because we do have demand for commercial zoning. We have demand for industry or offices as well. And given that we have so many people going to university education, I'm inclined to say that offices are probably going to be the way to go. So I'm going to bring a road out of here just as a temporary thing. And I'm going to bring a road sort of across to here and a road sort of across to here. We'll get rid of you. And that's going to be a nice road right up against the highway, which means that we're going to have the highway not all that visible from the road, which is what I'm looking for. As for how we're getting into this space, that's going to be a whole other thing. Now we can do this, and I'm sort of okay with this because it's going to be parallel to that existing train track. So maybe we just sort of punch a road straight through here. We have those as sort of our 2 main roads for the district, perhaps, and then maybe a bunch of little side streets sort of coming off like this. I don't know that I like this though, because it means that we have all of these roads sort of terminating right as the train track's there. I don't necessarily want the train track to be visible from inside the district, but in doing this, it does at least give me the option somewhere like here to go underneath the train track and connect it to this avenue, which I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily want this avenue to be, well, do I want it to be part of the city? It's kind of just existing to be like a highway connection to here. I don't really know what this space is going to be. I never really planned to expand out this far. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting experiment. I think regardless, if I really wanted to, actually, I could just bring a road sort of down here. I can connect those together. If I had these sort of running, if I had these running similarly, if I had these all sort of running into each other, we could just do a whole bunch of buildings going up to and terminating at the train line. I don't know that I love it, but I'm going to give it a shot. And we're maybe going to surround this train line just a little bit like that. We could build up to here as well if we wanted to. We could bring a road sort of out like this and maybe down to about there. Again, not the nicest looking design, but I think for the time being, we kind of just need to deal with a lot of the demand that we have. So for now, I'm going to do this. But I think I'm also going to look at maybe changing some of these roads to have a few more lanes. So this one, for example, is going to have 4 lanes. This one up to about there is going to have 4 lanes. This one arguably could as well. So we'll sort of do 4 lanes around that entire thing. This one's probably fine because there's not going to be that much on it. Those ones definitely need it though. And I don't know that I love this. I don't know that I love this layout, but I just need the zoning. So that's kind of why I'm committing to this idea. Okay, so obviously this isn't the most inspired of all the districts that I've ever built, but it'll do the job, and that's kind of all I need it to do. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to bring some paths sort of through this space so that all these roads are nicely connected together. Some of these roads are probably going to, at some stage or other, get bulldozed, because I would like to get some services in here, and I would like to get some plazas in here as well. I also want to keep the game running so that my, the academic, whatever the academic works, what are they called? I've never bothered to like commit that to academic works. Yeah, apparently I have committed it to memory, but yeah, I want to keep those rolling in so that we can hopefully upgrade that thing at some point today. I'm also realizing that by building this district, I am by all means, I'm just adding more traffic to a road that is already a traffic nightmare. So this might not be a good idea. Regardless, I'm gonna commit to it because not a very good idea is sort of my brand. It's kind of my thing. So we're going to commit to this not very good idea and just see what happens, really. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm also thinking I'm going to get as many little connections through here as I possibly can. I need this one to go sort of the other direction though. So from there to there and there. And let's see, we have one down here. We are going to get one here as well. We're going to get one here. And we have 2 at this end. So another one in this spot. Another one we have there. So we're going to want another one, I'd say right about here. So that should be fine. That's a bunch of space for people to walk back and forth, which is exactly what we're looking for. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to go in here and look at some of the coverage that we have. So obviously, healthcare is not that good. I don't know that I want to build a giant hospital in here, though. I could. We have sort of got the room for it, like right here. I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know if it actually makes all that much sense to throw a giant hospital into this space. What we could do is a little clinic right about there. And then next to the clinic, we can do some parking. And maybe we just surround it with parking. So we have a little hospital clinic right about there. I think that's fine. I kind of like it. I want to grab some nodes and some roads. And I want to just level this a little bit to object height, just so everything's kind of nicer. The terrain is being a bit weird around here, admittedly. It's, I think the tracks are having some issues, to be completely honest with you, but I'm sort of okay with this. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't look perfect, but it's by no means the end of the world. And that should be a decent bit of healthcare for this space. Obviously, this part's not really covered, but it'll be fine. When it comes to fire coverage, honestly, we'll keep it simple and just do a fire station there. When it comes to policing, again, we'll keep it simple. We'll just do a police department, I think, right behind the fire station. So we'll sort of just double them up like that. And then maybe just to fill in the space, we'll do a little path down there. So that's obviously just very efficiency focused. That's kind of all I need it to be. When it comes to death care, obviously there's none in the space. Do I want to do death care like this? Do I want to do it right opposite? I don't know that I do. I think instead I'll put it behind it. So we have some parking, but we also have, you know, healthcare, death care. That seems like a good combo. What else would we want in here? We do need some elementary education. We are getting down there a little bit in the elementary department. So maybe a high capacity elementary school? I don't know that we need it. I mean, I say I don't know that we need it. We kind of do. Do I want to do wall-to-wall buildings in this space though? That's the real question. I don't know that I do. So I think what I'm going to do instead is we're going to do the high capacity elementary school. And then next to it, I'm going to throw in a little taxi stand just to fill in that space. And then here in front of it, I'm thinking what I'd like to do is again, grab some nodes and some roads, get the building as well. And I want to just level all of this to the height of that road. Because my thinking here is that I can probably slope this a little bit so it's a little bit more forgiving. I can fix the terrain in here a little bit. And we can have that space in front of the elementary school be some kind of plaza, some kind of park. And I think that'll be great. And then down the side of it will be probably trees. It'll mostly be trees. But before we get there, I want to see how we're doing. So that's probably fine. In terms of high schools, we're doing fine. University, we are perfectly fine. We have 14,000 open spaces there, so we really don't need to worry about that. And then the public library usage. Do I want another public library? Do I need another public library? I don't think I do. But I think just to fill some space, I think I'm going to get one. I like the public library. I think it's a nice looking little building. So we'll put one right about there. And then down the side of that, we're also going to do a path so people can kind of walk around. And that seems like a nice little way to do things. And then I think at this point, we can just start filling the space with stuff and things for sure. So with the pipes in here, I kind of need to decide what I'm going to go for in terms of a style on this district, because I have no idea. Like I said, I don't necessarily want to do wall to wall, although they would look really good, especially given that this is just a super basic grid. Wall to wall buildings would, well, honestly, probably make the most sense given what I'm building here. I don't know. I just don't know that I want to do, wall to wall buildings. There's something about it this time today, right now. It's 7 in the morning. It's 7 in the morning. I've just had some cereal. No, it's not breakfast. I've not been to bed, but I have got a really good cup of tea. And for whatever reason, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling like wall to wall buildings. That's, yeah, I'm on those kind of hours lately. That's kind of been my life for the past while. I always have good intentions. I always tell people, hey, today's the day I'm going to fix my sleep schedule. And I do. I usually do. I've gotten very good at fixing my sleep schedule, and for at least a day, waking up at sort of a normal time, you know, like in the morning. I know, weird. But waking up at like a normal time. Why has this not gone away? What is, this is, okay, default, no, can I, is it gone away now? Is that better? That's better. Yeah, I'll wake up at like a normal time for a day or two, and then just all of a sudden I get this burst of energy on like the third day. And it's like, hey, guess who's staying awake for 20 hours and messing up that sleep schedule that he suffered through fixing? Me! Every single time. Anyway, I think we will just go for the wall to wall. I'm not feeling it, but it also, well, you know what? Brooklyn and Queens would make a lot of sense. The only problem is there's no commercial buildings in that pack. We could do Korea. We have these buildings over here, which look pretty good. They're not quite wall to wall. They're all very samey though, which I don't necessarily love. Maybe we just stick with the default one. Maybe we don't do wall to wall and we just stick with the default theme and see what we end up with. Maybe a little bit of a default theme and a high-rise band is the way to go here. So I think that's what we'll try. We'll fill in all of this space. We'll fill in all of this space. we could fill this space, but I don't think I'm going to. I think what I'm also going to do is just try my best to fill as much of this as I possibly can in a way that's hopefully not going to look terrible. I'm just going to use this, the paint bucket tool as well to fill all of this. I'm not going to keep it all as commercial, but for now, I'm just going to do it that way. And then we're going to go in and we're going to start tearing parts of this out. Now, what I'm thinking is that I could go in here with some pedestrian roads and I could use bluestone without any zoning on it as a means of connecting these guys together. Now, obviously it's messing with the zoning on the main road right now, but that's fine. That's not the, it's also, it's not as steep as it looked. That's honestly okay, because then I can go in here, get the zoning back and just upgrade these guys so that basically anything on that road could be, for example, a little bit of office zoning. Might not be a terrible idea. We could do a little bit of office zoning along here as well. I don't really want to build anything in this avenue, but I think we're going to just give it a shot with some office zoning and see how that turns out. Probably terrible. Most likely terrible. But we're going to give it a shot anyway. And then for the rest of the space, I think we'll do offices right down here. We'll do some offices right back here as well. And we'll fill the rest of this with offices as well. Just sort of surround the place in some office zoning just for the time being. Now that's a lot of blue and that's going to generate a lot of traffic. I'm also realizing that realistically, I probably should have done a train station in here. Oh, it's not too late. It isn't too late to do a train station in here. It would be a really good place for it. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a train station and we're gonna have to find an elevated one. I think there's, I've used it before, right? I used it at the, yeah, so it's there. So this thing would need to be, oh, how am I going to measure this? This is going to be an absolute pain to figure out, but I want to do it because I think it would make sense. All right. So it turns out it was actually very easy to get an elevated train station in here, which is absolutely fantastic news. It also means that if I really wanted to, I could have a train line that comes out from here and goes down to that district, which I'm kind of inclined to do. So we'll go ahead and say that you are now going to go down this way and we'll have this train now stop on both sides of that station. But what we could also do is have a little shuttle that goes back and forth from the university to this station as well. I don't really think there's any reason to do that, but I'm kind of inclined to give it a shot just so there's more stuff going to and from that station. So yeah, I think we're just going to do that. I think we're just going to go ahead and say that we're going to have a train that goes down to the university from this particular station. It's got its own little platform there, which is fine. We'll go and have a look at our train lines. We'll say that this guy is going to be the same sort of blue as everything else. It could, in theory, be a smaller train because this one is 680 people, which is kind of wild, but I think we'll just stick with that and see how it goes. And I think that's fine. I think that's sort of just the way we're going to do things. So we have a little train in here. I can unpause the game. We can let all of this start to build. We have water throughout the entire district, which is lovely. The only thing I want to do is go to policies and I want to say high-rise ban, encourage biking. I don't think I need an old town policy right now. We might if we do connect it out to this avenue eventually, which we probably will. Fast recovery, emergency response unit does not search for survivors, but only makes the lot ready for rebuilding. That is depressing. We probably don't need it. Electric cars, everyone living here must switch to an electric car. Let's do that because we can, I suppose. And I mean, in terms of everything else, we're probably fine. We don't have any public transport connections other than the train right now. And I also didn't end up putting any residential in here. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to chop out this block. I'm going to chop out this block and this one as well. We're going to do some residential in those spaces. I think I want to do a little bit of residential in these three as well. So that'll be a nice little mix for that entire space. Hopefully it'll grow nicely. We are losing money again, which I think is sort of the death wave. Although it seems like we've maybe got out ahead of it. Maybe adding those extra crematoriums did some wonders and actually sort of pushed back the death wave before it really took hold. So we'll keep an eye and see what happens. I do think this is a major problem though. Traffic on this road has always been a disaster, and I think I'm slowly getting to the place. I'm getting the mental fortitude to be able to deal with this. Because realistically, I think the solution is just providing more connections to more places more efficiently. Because right now we just have it's the fact that all of my factories and so much of my production is over here. All of these things generate a ridiculous amount of resources and vehicles, so they're all trying to cut through here. So we need to do one of two things. Either we need to start bulldozing parts of the city and building expressways, or we need to go and have a little bit of a look at our natural resources, and we need to say, hey, forestry could maybe move to over here. Maybe oil could move to here. Maybe ore could move to over here. I don't really want to put it by the town. Out here, for example, or over behind the airport. There's a lot of options for what we could do. We could do farming out here. We could do ore all the way around here as well. There's a lot of options, and I think spreading out my industries at some point is going to need to happen. Just not right now. Oh no, this is good. We've got a whole bunch of people wanting to use the trains around here, which is exactly what I'm looking for. We've got 25 people on that one, which is not exactly what I'm looking for, but I do wonder, does that mean that we have a decent number of people using this station at all? We sort of do. We've got 147 people on board right there. We have a train going back to Central with 13 on board. So still, this was still ambitious. This was still maybe a bad idea. I think that's sort of the takeaway there, is building that was maybe not the best idea that I've ever had, but to be fair, I think it looks cool, so it's not the end of the world. It's a perpetual work in progress, just like me. And speaking of works in progress, I decided to actually put a little road in here that connects this avenue to this main road over here. And this probably wasn't the best idea because it is just sort of, it's moving the problem around rather than dealing with the issues. But there's something about this city that scares me. And it's this tab right here. It's the traffic tab. It's the traffic info view. It scares me because I haven't looked at it in a very long time, and I dread to think what the number is going to be. Now, looking at my traffic here and the fact that it tails back this entire way, and it tails back all the way around here and all the way into this industrial zone, and then looking at the traffic sort of over here and how much of it there is, there's traffic tail back on the roundabout, and there's traffic tail back on this roundabout as well. In fact, it tails back almost through the tunnel. Looking at the fact there's traffic tailing back here as well. I'm really not feeling good about this at all. Basically, based on the fact that I am absolutely f***ing terrible at traffic management. Yeah, that was necessary. I said it. I am willing to bet that the percentage, the traffic flow percentage is going to be 46%. I think 46 is being generous. I'll take 59. You know what? I'll allow it. I will take that. I also don't know why traffic here is so bad, but I'll take 59%. I'm okay with that. That's better than I thought. That's depressing. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be though. So I'm willing to work with that number. I think I can improve that. I'm not going to do it today. That's not my ambition for today's episode by any means, but that's definitely higher than I thought it was going to be. And that's not good. That's a little sad really, but it's the truth. I'm also realizing that by all means, I could just create another regional connection for the city. I almost wonder if we should get rid of this weird road. I don't love how it sort of like goes down like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the network multi-tool, and I'm being lazy about this. I don't need to use the network multi-tool, but I'm going to use the network multi-tool, and I'm going to build myself just a little road that goes from here to there. And I think that'll be fine. We can hit that with a bit of a smoothing brush so it looks a little bit nicer than it currently does. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and create another connection to the region. Now, what I could do is I could sort of just punch straight through here, and I could come off at like this little corner and sort of head up into the hills. I don't want to add more traffic to Concord. I don't think it deserves it. It hasn't done anything wrong. It doesn't need that that stress. What I think I'm gonna do though is maybe like right here, we just go and say, you know, hey, here's a little something something. Maybe we want to get apparently angle snapping doesn't want to be a thing here. That's interesting. But just something like this. Just a little section of road. And we're sort of just going to try and freeform this as best we possibly can. So we'll go for a few straight sections here and there. We'll go like this. We could do maybe 20 by 20 at 135. We could do 20. Let's turn off guidelines. We could do 20 by 20 again at 135. So that's basically just a big 90-degree turn, which is totally fine. I'm looking at this and thinking it could by all means go parallel to the train tracks as well, which might look better. So let's give that a shot and see if we can do that. Can I get a nice little node right about, say, here? Maybe here would be better. So we'll run this right up to, I think that's our last spot at which it's going to be parallel. This can come back. This guy can come forward a bit to, I'm going to say there. And I think we just, what was that, 22 by 16? Let's do a little bit, let's say 6 units there. I think that should give us 16 by 16, which it absolutely does. So that runs nice and parallel to the train tracks. I think we need to come up with a good spot for it to cross over the train tracks. So we'll do 20 here, and we'll do another 20 by 20 at a 135 angle right about there. That's going to punch straight through and cross our train tracks. And then this is just going to follow its way out to the region, and that should be fine. I imagine it's not going to be great for traffic, but I'm willing to take that chance. And so with this little regional road now built, we do have some traffic coming in here, which is absolutely fantastic. Hopefully that's going to take away from the traffic elsewhere in the city. I've also changed out some of these roads to be asymmetrical, so we have some dedicated turning lanes for going left and right, or for going left and straight on, or for going right and straight on. Whatever you want to do, you've got a lane to do it. Now, I want to go back to the university for a moment, the new one, because we're going to have a problem here. The population has dropped a little bit, so there is still a bit of a death wave trying to creep in. I don't want to say it's quite as bad as the last one. We did drop by about 20,000 in the last one, but with this going down, it means that the number of students has gone down. And so it means we're not going to be upgrading this thing. Even if we were to get 3 academic works this year, which we're not, it's still not good. We need more students, and that's a bit of a problem. This space also still hasn't built, which is sort of to be expected. I kind of figured we probably didn't have the demand to get this entire thing to come together all that quickly. But I think what I'll do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to swap out the zoning in some of these spaces for offices, because I figure we probably do have the demand to get some office zoning in here and get that all built relatively quickly. At least I would sincerely hope that we have the demand to do that. It looks like they're slowly coming together, which is great. And I guess it's just sort of a waiting game. Because like I said, I don't necessarily want to come in here and develop too much more of this. I want to get some new buildings into this space, and we don't need to. We've got this thing pretty high on campus attractiveness. It's just academic works and students. So I'm going to keep myself busy, I think, by trying to just make sure this space builds out nicely. I want to have a little bit of a look at traffic across the board and see what we can do there. We do have, like I said, a nice amount of traffic coming in from the region. Not that much going out to the region, which is to be... I want to say that's to be expected. I want to say that's, yeah. I'm not necessarily surprised that there's not that much traffic going out to the region right now. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more, but at the very least, what I would be hoping is that it might pull some traffic away from these regional connections out here. We might see some people going, hey, I can now drive into the city from that side. I don't have to go through the entire thing to get to the airport or to get to Concord, which in its own right is having some sewage problem. Why are we having, oh, wait, is it a sewage problem that's causing everybody to die? Is it, hold on a minute. Is it sewage that's the problem? No, it was the dead body, which, I mean, depending on your point of view, yeah. So oof. Anyway, yeah, we need some oh god, I've not made a joke like that in a while. We need some sewage treatment. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. We we need some sewage treatment. Let's get a little bit of that going. And I'm thinking I'm going to use this space out here because we've got a nice bit of space to play with. So let's keep the simulation running. Let me grab all of the trees and the props. Let me go in and say, I just want to clear. Honestly, that amount of space should be fine. Delete all of that. Delete that tree as well. And then what we'll do is we'll just get ourselves some roads. And to start with, I think I'm just going to use dirt roads. They're pretty solid for planning. We'll go 10 units there. We'll go 10 units there. And what I'm thinking I want to do is I'm going to do this to start with, and we're going to get a look at how big this thing is. So it's actually not all that huge, which is great. So we could potentially do, we could do 2 of them, maybe right next to each other like that. Although maybe we could also move them down a little bit. So I don't know why I necessarily want to do this, but I like the idea of sort of shuffling these guys down. So they're a little bit closer to the road like this. And I don't mind that. I want to get some other buildings in here as well, though. I like the idea of getting tank reservoirs, which is going to store water. So if we have more water than we need, it gets stored in here. I like the idea of a little bit of asymmetry with this thing. So we could do a little road that comes up this way and maybe put maybe 2 of these guys here. We could extend this road a little bit further as well. So it's, that's not what I wanted to do. We want to just extend it to about there, I think should be fine. So again, that'll give us a little bit of asymmetry. I could even go a little further with this, I think, and sort of move them to that spot. We could bring a road through here. We could surround these as well, which I think I'm kind of willing to do. So we'll surround those. So again, we have that bit of asymmetry going on there. And let's see, maybe I actually get rid of this road. So we just have this sort of one entrance to this space. What else have we got here? We have a pumping service, which I think we already have one of these, right? I built one over by this factory. But given that I keep messing up with my various attempts to build rivers, I think another one of these guys would be a really good idea. So I'm kind of willing to build another pumping service. I think that might be a great idea. We'll surround it with some roads like this as well. And I think that's just sort of going to be our little facility for this whole thing. So I want to grab the buildings. I want to grab the nodes. I want to grab the roads. We can grab all of you, grab all of you, grab that corner as well. And then I just want to lower this to that height right there. I grabbed everything. I barely grabbed a thing that I wanted there. I want to grab all of it, lower it to this height, which is going to chop away at the terrain, but I'm kind of okay with that. It's not the end of the world. And then what we'll do is just get ourselves some pipes. We'll connect all of these guys together. And I'm just going to do some straight lines with the pipes like this, and then run this straight across to here. So now it's connected to everything. What I then want to do is I think use some industry roads. I think we'll use a 4-lane industry road for the entrance. We'll use some regular industry roads to sort of go around this entire thing, which I think seems like a pretty solid bet. Seems like a good way to do things. But what I'm also thinking here is that I might do a little something with landscaping so it looks like this reservoir actually comes up to this water pumping thing. So flattening out this terrain here is sort of step 1. Step 2 is going to begin going in and getting all the trees and the props out of here. So basically all of these guys now need to go. So we'll delete those. And then step 3 is actually taking this out for a second, and possibly this as well. Oh, I'm going to regret this. I'm 100% going to regret this, but I'm going to give it a shot because I think this might look cool. So basically, I need to grab you, and I want this to run sort of the entire way around here. So I'm going to need to use anarchy to make sure this is done right. We're going to bring it all the way up to here. We'll bring it across maybe something like 15 units. We'll bring it down. I don't know. Do we want to just bring it straight down like this? I think we kind of do. I think we just make sort of an extended little section of this, this whole reservoir thing, and that'll be fine. This guy is going to go to here and here. And actually, yeah, I'm sort of completely okay with that. So again, we're going to be grabbing nodes, and this time others. We want to grab all of the nodes for the keys. We want to lower them to this height right here, which is nice and level. Obviously, things aren't exactly how we want them to be right now, but what we can do with node controller is tidy this all up slightly. So we'll do 5 right there. So we get a much sharper corner, which is kind of what I'm looking for. We'll go 5 here. We could go 0, which would give us a very sharp corner, but I don't think we need to do that. I think we're okay with where it is. These guys can come down to 15, so they're a little sharper than they'd otherwise be. And then now all I need to do is go in there and flatten out the terrain and then get the road back in here so that it all plays nicely. So we'll flatten this right down. I'm going to have to use move it to adjust some of these keys, but again, that's fine. We can make that work. Okay, so I don't know if this makes any sense whatsoever, having these turbines in here. They don't really generate much power, but they look cool, and I think that's probably good enough. I like this. I think this is it's a nice little thing. It does the job that I need it to do. It has dealt with the sewage complaints, I would imagine. Yes, it has. Not all that much, but it's definitely dealt with them. And it gives us another purpose for this weird looking reservoir thing that I've decided is, I mean, it is by all intents and purposes an infinite source of water. So that's great. I just like this. I like the idea of building more little things sort of alongside this this body of water. I think that's something I'm gonna, like I said in the last episode, I want to build a nuclear power plant out here at some point, and maybe that's what goes in this space. Maybe that's why we have this. This can also double, you know, for one, it's helping with the sewage, it's dealing with the tank reservoirs, it's dealing with the pumping service, but it could also double as a way to cool or be a supply of water for the nuclear plant. I think that's probably what we're going to do with this. I think that's probably where this is going to go. So for the time being, I'm actually going to go in here and grab the rest of these trees and the props and the buildings. And I'm just going to clear pretty much this entire space because eventually it is going to get redeveloped. I'm probably going to get rid of these buildings here as well. Rocks, but they're buildings. You know what I mean? We'll get rid of those as well. We'll get rid of you. And we'll just leave this space open as a future nuclear power plant. I mean, we could build it. We could, wait, do I want to do it today? What, let me have a look at this thing. It's really not that, man, it's so small compared to City Skylines 2. It really is. I forgot that it is a teeny tiny little thing, isn't it? It's a little bit wimpy looking. We also don't need it. That's the other thing. In saying that, it would mean I can get rid of all these oil power plants that keep running out. Oh, you know what? We're building a nuclear power plant. I don't know what kind of layout this thing should have, but we're going to build a nuclear power plant and we're going to improvise and make it look kind of cool. So this fence needs to go away is what it needs to do. And then what I'm also going to do is take out some sections of that key, and I'm basically just going to extend it sort of randomly until I'm content with how it looks. So we'll do 20, we'll do 30. We'll go 10 across. We'll come back 30. We'll go down. We'll connect those together. So that's going to be a little bit of something there. I've just said something again. That's started for today. That's good. Let's bring this down about 15. I think this would be 10 here and up. So that kind of loops around. This is all going to need to be flattened. All of this land is going to need to be flattened, but that's okay. We can kind of work with this. I think what I'll do is grab the nodes, grab the others, grab all of these guys, and lower them to object height right about there. So now they're at the right height. I'm going to have to do all the corners as well. So let's actually go around and do that very quickly. What did I set these to? 5, I think. Yeah, so 5. We'll keep this one. This one can go down to 5 as well. These ones are also going to go to 5. And this one here, that's 25. That's 5. We'll keep this nice curve. Actually, you know what? We won't. The only reason I kept the curve in the other one is because it follows the road so nice. So we'll keep this nice and sort of squared off like this. We can lower the terrain a little bit. I've also got the game paused again. I need to stop doing that. We'll lower the terrain as best we possibly can. I'm going to have to use move it to flip some of these around like I did before, but we'll lower this all down for now. A little something like this. That doesn't count as a little something something. That was a little something like this. That's totally different. We'll go ahead and grab these nodes. So this one needs to be moved and then undone. So it flips around, moved and undone, moved and undone, and then moved and undone. And hopefully, if done properly, they should all flip around, which they have. That corner was being a bit weird, but it seems to be fixed now. This one's being a little bit weird. It is now fixed as well. So now we'll just hit this with a smoothing, not a smoothing brush, a flattening brush around here. And that seems pretty solid. Let's also do the same thing on this side of all of the keys so that we have a nice flat canvas to play with. And then I guess we're putting a nuclear power station in here. I've got no idea what the layout of this should be. I'm basing this on absolutely zero knowledge of what these things are supposed to look like. I've watched some videos on YouTube of people building these before, but it was months ago, so I've got no idea. I'm just going to improvise and build what I think looks cool. You know what it is? It's a weird feeling. It's an obvious feeling. I'm just playing City Skylines, man. That's all I'm doing. I'm just playing some City Skylines and I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I really like the university. I'm looking forward to building this. Can I get a nuclear power plant in? Oh, it will look really good in there. I didn't measure that. That wasn't, oh, that's so good. That is so good. Okay. Let me get my dirt roads. Let me get my road guidelines. Let me figure out where this thing's going. So ground level's there. We want this to go across to about there. And this is going to need to go back. It's not going to fit perfectly, unfortunately, but I think I can get it pretty close. I'm quite confident I can get this thing to be pretty close. So we'll do this. And I want to say I can make that work. I want to say I can make this work. I might be wrong, but I'm going to do my best. That looks relatively central there. This is going to go away. And these roads kind of need to go right up against the key right there. So that should be fine. This is going to come down and around this entire thing. This is going to come down to, I'm going to say here. It's not going to connect to that highway just yet. I don't know if I want this road to connect either, to be quite honest. I don't know if I want these guys to be connected like this. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't think it does. I mean, they're sharing a body of water, but I don't think they need to be sharing access roads. I think what we can do is maybe just connect it down here or something like that. Maybe just have a little straight shot down to here and that'll be fine. My only thinking with this is that it's a little wimpy. These wind turbines are larger than the nuclear power plant. And I mean, that's just the size of this nuclear power plant in City Skylines, right? It is just it's a little wimpy. It's a little, I mean, it's doing a great job, right? We have a massive amount of power. It's doing its best. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it's a little wimpy. It's a little bit wimpy. All right. Do I want to put these in front of it? I kind of do. Again, there's absolutely no need for those to be in front of it, but I think I'm going to do that anyway. The only problem is that it does block off this road. So this road suddenly has no reason to exist. So I don't know if I want to build them there. I don't know where else I'd build them though. Unless if I took all of that out. All right, let me I'm thinking of something here. I'm thinking we bring this out. All right, we go 15 units. I bring this across. Can I put one of these guys? Yes, I can. Now, I'm going to bring this road out of here. And instead of 15, I'm going to do 17. Bring this across. And I'm going to try, what am I going to try here? So this is a geothermal thing, right? So if I was to build one in the middle here, I could do keys on either side of it. There's no reason to do this whatsoever other than the aesthetics of this thing. What I'm really wanting to do though is sort of two of these with water on either side. I don't think I'm going to have the space to do that though. I think the keys would be pressed a little too close together. We could give it a shot. So there's 8 there. I don't think I can. I think I might just do 2 of them. I think I'm just going to do 2 right next to each other with water on either side, and we'll kind of leave it at that. So this now needs to go. And we need to go back in here. We need to get our keys and just bring it to, let's see, right about here. Right about here. We bring it back 16. We bring it, you know what? We'll bring this one out first. So we'll bring this one out 16 as well. So 16 to there and down. And then we just sort of loop this around as best we possibly can. And I think that'll be fine. Obviously, those corners need to be squared off down to 5 meters as well. Now, this might be something I live to regret, but I thought having some freshwater outlets at the back of the good old nuclear power plant might look interesting. It, at the very least, will help to fill this entire space. And it's a bit of, you know, it's a bit of movement. It's a bit of something that we didn't have in here before. So I'm kind of willing to let it be a thing. I just don't really know what else to put in here. Most of the nuclear power plants that I've ever seen built in City Skylines, well, they're usually built with a lot of custom assets, which, I mean, I'm not using any of those right now. And I mean, if we look into here, we have a wave power plant, which I'm not really looking for. So I'm a little bit limited. I'm a little bit unsure about what else we want to put in here. And I'm also a little concerned about the fact that these things are likely going to cause this entire space to flood. So I'll tell you what, as much as I like the idea of those being in there, they're not all that practical. So I'm just going to put this, I'm just going to put a water source in here, and that'll be fine. We'll just have a water source to keep it nice and level, and that's all we need. The good news is we have this pumping station over here, so all this water will get moved away pretty quickly. And everything should get back to some degree of normal. I also don't know if I love these parking lots. I mean, I feel like it makes sense, but also it's just parking lots. And I feel like I'm leaning on parking lots way too often to make my average at best builds look better. Kind of like what I'm doing right here. Kind of like just doing this again. I think I'm going to do it anyway. I might do maybe a little one-way thing here just to be a little bit different. We'll have like a little one-way system right there, and that'll be okay. Maybe the parking lots can go sort of face the other way there, or we can just sort of flip them around. We can flip some of them around and keep some of them on that main road so that there's a bit of I don't know, a bit of a change going. I don't know if it makes any sense, but we're going to do it anyway. And then up this way, I want something in this corner. I don't really know what I want in this corner. We could do maybe a fire station. Actually, a fire station would be a great addition to a nuclear power plant. So I'll tell you what, let's get a little bit more asymmetry going in this space. We'll take this guy out and we'll do maybe, I don't know. I don't think we need a high capacity fire station. We could get a little fire safety center in here, but I want something that has a bit of chunk to it, you know, something that has a bit of size to it. Maybe just the regular fire station right here would be the way to go. And honestly, I kind of like it. I do. We're going to go for the large fire engines. We can do a little path that sort of comes down around here, and we can throw another parking lot right there. So we have now got a bit of fire safety out here, which I think makes sense. We could do maybe a teeny tiny little bit of policing here with this guy, just because I think that would make sense as well. We could do mobile command centers. And then what I want to do is go in here and start just adjusting some of these nodes so that they are a little bit tidier than they otherwise were. And I think that's probably fine. Again, I don't know what I want to put in this corner. I haven't really decided on that. I guess maybe we don't need anything. I guess maybe that's what we do. We just have this little one-way thing for getting to the geothermal plants. Maybe we bring this down to be a little bit sharper. So maybe that's going to be a 3. So it kind of matches the keys that we have going there. So we have those sort of sharper edges in this whole thing. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. So I think that's fine. And I guess we just put fences around this. We do some landscaping around this, and that should be enough to make this sort of complete. So we'll connect these guys together. We'll go ahead and turn off grid snapping. We'll bring a fence all the way over here, all the way down here, out to here, down and around this entire thing. And hopefully this actually does work the way I want it to, which it looks like it's going to. So it comes down to there, which is honestly maybe a little bit far. We want to grab some fences and some nodes. I want to just shuffle you back ever so slightly. And that seems all right. It nicely surrounds everything. We have a fence down here as well. So the next step is going to be parallel. And we want to pretty much do exactly the same thing here. Flip it to the other side, go to about there. We'll use move it just to take it right back off that road. And then same story. We want to go from here down to here and to here, flip it over and do the same thing. So grab you, move you back to about there. And on this side, same story, move you back to about there. And that just sort of nicely surrounds this entire thing. We have got some open space here, which honestly, we could just punch straight through. I don't know that I want to though. I don't think I want to do that. I guess I could grab this node and I could, if I really wanted to, try to sort of shuffle it down into that corner. So we'll have the node right about here. I don't like what it's doing to the terrain there, but we'll make it work. Maybe. This might not be a good idea, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay, I think this will do for our little nuclear plant geothermal thing, sewage treatment, water storage, water pumping, wind power thing. This is a thing. It's certainly a thing that we have built. It serves more purposes than it realistically needs to, but I'm kind of happy with how it's turned out. It looks interesting. It definitely looks interesting. We've got some landscaping around it as well. Everything's been smoothed out, so it looks interesting. I've also gone ahead and got rid of all of the old power plants. So this is now the main power production plant for the entirety of Vanillaville, which means that we shouldn't run into issues with there being no deliveries of power or resources to power plants anymore. I mean, it's nuclear and it's geothermal, so I think we're probably good on that particular front, which in theory should take away some, not a lot, but definitely some of the traffic that will have been going around here. So not necessarily the end of the world, definitely a bit of an improvement for this space. Now, looking out this way at the old College of the Arts, we're down to 1,500 students, which is bad. We are up to 14 academic works. We're halfway through the year. So if we can get our hands, I've already, provided a grant for this thing. If we can get our hands on an academic work with this 40% chance, plus the one that I've basically, paid for, all we then need to do is increase the number of students, which would be kind of fantastic. Now, I'm also pretty sure that I think the liberal arts laboratory or laboratory, I think it boosts the chance of an academic work. It provides controlled conditions for various scientific researches, increase student capacity and campus attractiveness, while also boosting academic work creation. Yeah, so if I built more of these, we would have a higher chance of an academic work. So, do I want to be so bold as to build another one of these? We do have the space here, but we already have one right next to this, and I don't know that I want to build them all right next to each other. That seems a little bit silly. We have one over here, and we, I guess, don't have one up here. Now, would it make sense in this space? Probably not. Would it make sense in this space? Maybe. I think we might give it a shot. I'm just curious to see what this actually adds. I want to say it's a 5% chance. Oh, that's not good. Let's rebuild you. I want to say it's a 5% chance, right? Academic works 45. Yeah, so I mean, reasonably, I could just use move it to stack a bunch of these, but I don't want to scumbag it like that. That seems a little bit unreasonable. So I don't think we're going to do that. I also don't think I like it right there. I just sort of don't. What if I did two of them sort of right across from each other though? What if we had this sort of like this little like design in the front, sort of almost not, it's rotational symmetry. It's not mirrored. It's rotational symmetry. I actually don't mind that. I'm not gonna lie. I really actually don't mind that at all. It's not the worst looking thing. And what we could do is come in here with a little road like this. We'll use anarchy to get this to play nicely. So a little road right about there. We could reasonably get rid of this crossing as well, which would be fantastic. So that's not just a middle section. We have a crossing here, which is much better. So we could do parking here. We could do a little something in terms of a path down behind this. So what kind of path am I going to use? This one, I guess. Although I don't know if it's going to look as good, but we'll give it a shot. So this guy's going to come down to about here. We're going to want to just add a node right there so I can extend it up to the road. Basically, I just want to landscape around this thing so it's a little better looking. I'm also pretty sure I could use... Can I use node controller to make this look better? Have I shift it? No, that's not what I want. Angle? No, rotation? Rotation's what I'm looking for. So if I do this, I can I just like move you down? No. That's what I want though. I want to just sort of shuffle this thing down so it's kind of right up against that road. And that does look a little bit better. So that I'm kind of okay with. Again, we'll do parking on this side. And I guess what we want to do is maybe just a little bit of detailing around this thing. The extra 5% chance, honestly, I'm sort of okay with that. 45% is a decent enough percentage. It's not a guarantee. It might mean that we don't get to see this thing upgrade until the next episode, but again, I'm sort of okay with that. It is by no means the end of the world, so we'll just, you know, see what happens. We'll get some detailing in here. We'll make this thing look pretty, and we can, I think, probably call it a day. And there we go. We have ourselves another liberal arts laboratory building. It gives us 45% chances of academic works every single year. We are, let's say, 2/3 of the way through the academic year, but we don't have enough students, so it's not going to upgrade this year anyway, which is, again, honestly, it's fine. I'm still really pleased with how this whole thing's looking. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I'm actually quite pleased with this little development up here as well. I think, honestly, it's been a couple of good upgrades for the city thus far. Traffic on this road is still a nightmare. Traffic flow in general is up. It's up to 60%. It's 61%. It's up 2% since we got started here today. So that's something. That's progress, I guess, right? It's better than going the other way, so I'll take it. I will absolutely take that as an absolute win. How are things going in here? 47 passengers, a good number of people waiting for buses as well, which is lovely to see. How are we doing out here with you? 143, that's not bad either. I'm actually quite pleased that the trains seem to be slowly getting some usage. What's our overall numbers right now? So 4,000 residents on buses, 1,000 tourists, 2,700 and 1,000 on the metro, 700 and 400 on the trains. I mean, it's not great. It's no City Skylines 2 in terms of public transport numbers, but it's still an improvement. So I'm still gonna chalk that up as an absolute win. So I suppose it is that time once again where there's not really much left to say other than that's gonna do us for today. I didn't get to do as much to the university as I would have liked to, but I did say in the last episode that we weren't going to be going too crazy on this thing in every single future episode. So hopefully the next one is one where we can do that a little bit, and hopefully we can upgrade this thing and get that final tier unlocked. We do need another 300 students, but fortunately we do have a good amount of demand for residential zoning, so I reckon we can probably pull that off. And then at the very least, we have this, which is a weird combo of so many things that don't reasonably go together, but I think it's just a cool looking little industrial site. It's playing around with the keys, it's playing around with water, it has movement and animation and life to it, and I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. And so I suppose that is gonna do us for today. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.